Great. Okay. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for our LUAG at Lunch series. This is a series that is led by students, providing insight and personal perspectives around works of art from the Lehigh University Art Galleries. From the collection here at the galleries. My name is Stacy Brennan and I'm the Curator of Education. It's my pleasure today to welcome Matogba Nelson, who is joining us on the very last day of the semester, and thank you to all the students who are joining us as well, for a discussion about everyday Americans as presented in the exhibition Doing Democracy on view in the galleries, and how photographs provide us with opportunities to explore diverse perspectives and experiences. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Matogba, and thanks so much.
Thank you. So yeah, today we're going to be talking about the everyday American, what it looks like, and not just in recent times, but also in the past, how it looked like. And so we're starting off with this first image, and I want to ask, what do you notice about this image?
It looks like it was taken at some sort of event, like some sort of rally or protest.
Mm-hmm. Anything else? Anyone else notice anything that sticks out to them in this image?
Seems like a pleasant experience. Like the woman has a smile on her face. She seems to be really happy to be there.
Yeah. And I think another thing that, sticks out for me, at least at the bottom, it says Ross. And I think the sign meant do not cross. So they could be at a rally or a protest, or they could be at a concert. I mean, who knows? There's only so much that this picture can tell. But I guess from her clothing, we can see that she has a sweater in her hand. So this is probably during like fall, whenever this had happened, whenever this occurred. Maybe it was a little chilly out, or she thought it was going to be chilly because clearly she's not wearing it now. And I think another thing that sticks out is that she is a white woman, and her friend, or the person she's smiling next to, is a Black man. And I think that this really shows that friendships, it doesn't have to be, or doesn't have to stick to one race. You can be friends with anyone. And I think we see with children, when they're young, they have no concept of race. They want to be friends with everybody. And I think it's really beautiful when two individuals who aren't of the same race can be friends and can do things together. I think that it shows diversity and inclusion at the same time. And so I just wanted to start off with this lighthearted, image, especially because with our current climate, everything feels divided, and with the elections. I originally did this presentation first time after election day. So it was more, more prevalent than it is now, but it's still important to show these two people coming together and attending an event, and they're enjoying themselves. And I kind of wish that we could all get back to that same mindset of just being friends and being nice with each other. And so, yeah, that's why I wanted to start off with. And now we'll move on to the next. Okay. So, what do you notice in this image?
It looks like a school setting.
What else?
Some of the children look kind of into the work, and some of them look kind of like they'd rather be elsewhere.
It looks like a lot of the children also are Asian from what I can see. But then obviously it's not a classroom just full of Asian students, because one of the students up front is just very obviously not.
Yeah. So yeah, the student up front is a white boy. And I want to see what else, anyone else, if there's something else that they notice in this image before I explain that.
Well, as Frances said, some of the kids seem like they're really into their work with their heads down, while others are looking up at what may be the photographer. So there's some sort of distraction in the room.
Yeah, there's distraction. And I don't think the kids are used to that, seeing a photographer in their classroom all of a sudden. So I'm just going to read what it says at the side, just to give context to this picture. So this was in San Francisco, September 20th. Chinese parents open neighborhood schools, and the boy in the front and center, his name is Brian Addison, was the only non-Chinese youngster in this classroom at the Namku Chinese School today in San Francisco, as a group of Chinese parents opened 4 private neighborhood schools for quality education. A spokesman for the Chinese community said they are not opposed to integration, but want to give parents a free choice of where to send their children. Last week, San Francisco started a program of busing elementary school children under a court-ordered integration program. And this picture was taken in 1971. So from that, we can gather that the integration, allowing different students into schools, different students into schools, was becoming a huge thing at that time. It was really shaping the country and changing the way that we think about education and how it's received or how it's given. And I think it's kind of amazing that the Chinese community in San Francisco, they wanted to provide their kids a quality education. And maybe that's because the education they were receiving before wasn't up to their standards. And I think now, knowing that like China and Korea and Japan, they really take their education seriously. They spend numerous amount of hours actually in school or studying. So maybe that's the standard that they were trying to uphold at that time in 1971, and give their children a quality education. But if you were a student in this school, if you were one of these kids, what would you be thinking right now? Or what do you think they're thinking? Especially given with the context of why this picture was taken.
I mean, if I were a kid in that classroom, I would wonder why there's a photographer there that day.
Yeah, exactly. So there's like an aloofness, a lack of awareness, if you will, on the kids' part. They're just children. They don't really know what's happening or why things are happening most of the time. And so they just go with the flow. Any other thoughts? Maybe let's say this boy right here who is sitting with his feet on the chair. What do you think he's thinking? Or how would you think he's thinking right now.
I don't know, to me, he just looks like he's not very interested in what's going on. I can't really tell what he's looking at, if he's looking at one of the other students or if he's looking past, but he definitely just doesn't seem very interested in any of the work.
Yeah. Anyone else?
Yeah, sorry. I think he's looking like out towards the exit, like probably like he wants to like go play outside or yeah. Like not even looking at the front or like where the photographer probably is, but like just get to leave.
Yeah. And what is the mood? What overall, like, what is the mood of this image that we're getting here?
I would say it doesn't look like any of the schools over here where all you would see is kids talking, everybody looking towards each other, and just like you can tell it's more of a fun mood. But in this picture, it doesn't seem like that. It seems like they're all very quiet. It's kind of like a more serious situation, whether it's like meant to seem like that or not. Like you can tell that the teacher is in the back. It seems like she's helping someone, and the kids on the left side are actually doing work. So they might just be in the middle of an assignment, but nobody is like interacting comfortably.
That's a good observation. Anyone else have a different idea?
I just noticed, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say the desks are all like in rows.
Yeah.
And I feel like from my experience at that age, I feel like we had like tables.
Yeah.
Like I don't think I sat at a desk like that until middle school. Maybe they're in middle school, but they seem younger.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
That's a great observation, Justine. I feel like that is how the education system has really progressed since, you know, this time period. I feel like it was a lot more structured for this age group. And then, you know, with research, they figured out that kids needed more play and interaction at that age. So it's changed. But it's interesting. I just noticed that the girl next to the young boy who's being, you know, kind of focused on is wearing her backpack. So I don't know if like maybe this is the end of the day and it's like right before they're going home and they have like one last activity. So they're all anxious to like get out of there. But yeah, I just noticed that it looks like she's wearing her backpack.
Yeah. And why do you think the photographer chose this pose or this particular angle to take this picture?
I mean, taking the picture from like the front of the room like this, he might have like just kind of wanted to show off like as many students as he could in like kind of like that structured row, considering like he's taking the picture to kind of like show off this school. So he probably just kind of wanted to get as much visibility as possible, like in a way that you can actually see the children's like faces.
Anyone else have, anyone else?
Yeah, I'd agree with Sarah. I think trying to capture as many students, like the, you know, the number of students in the classroom, the size of the class itself, but also maybe the structure of the classroom. And interesting that, you know, with inclusion, he's like front and center in the front of the room. It's interesting to see that as well.
Yeah. And also, I think,
like chose that angle. I think he chose that angle because he wanted to zero in on the white kid and the sort of the expression on the kid's face being in a class where he's the only white.
Yeah, he doesn't look too, I don't know if it's because of the flash, but he doesn't look too happy to be there.
You know, that's why I think they picked that, you know, they wanted to get the kid's face front and center.
That is
Yeah.
definitely something that like completely grazed over me because you're just so used to that now. But like back then, like that's kind of like the whole point. They wanted that, they weren't against integration from what you said, but they wanted that choice. So yeah, that I did not even think about that.
Yeah, and again, this was in 1971. So like, I don't know, maybe now, now it's kind of more expected that there be diversity. And schools are now like even more open to diversity. But back then it was very a new thing. It wasn't something that was popular or that everyone agreed on. And so that now brings me to my last image. Does anyone, I'll give you some time to look more closely. Does anyone know who this nominee is? Who the nominee is. I'll just leave it at that. No.
I see the Ike on the sign, and I know that that was a nickname for Eisenhower.
Yes. So yes, this is Eisenhower's Republican nomination. He became the candidate for the Republican Party to run for president. And as you can see, there's people from all over the country: Virginia, Kentucky, District of Columbia, Missouri, Alabama, Virgin Islands, Kansas, Alaska, Nevada. Oh my goodness, so many places. And the reason why I chose this image is because, you know, of our current political situation, the elections, although that's now over with. It still brings a little bit of nostalgia, you know. This year, I think, was a very important year in our history. And so it would have been nice to be able to have, you know, in-person conventions, you know, attend these events like in person with a group of people, because you have these shared values, whether you're Democratic or Republican or Green Party or whatever party you're part of. It would have been nice to have that experience, especially as a young person. This is my second time voting, or this was my second time voting, but I didn't get to have this experience. And so I want to ask if anyone, I want to ask if anyone has any emotions or any feelings about this picture. You know, if this evokes anything out of you, good, bad, yeah.
I think it's exciting to see it. Like you can feel the excitement in the room, but at the same time, living in the age of COVID, this gives me like anxiety. So many people so close together, and with hope that, you know, we'll be able to return to that. But it's nice to see, regardless of what party it is, people coming together for a shared cause.
Yeah, anyone else?
Yeah, mostly nostalgia. I have a pin from back then that says, "I like Ike." And a picture of his wife, Mamie. It's like she's posing for the camera. She's the one, you know, the biggest, the face that's most obvious. Anyway, nostalgia, definitely.
Yeah, that's amazing. Because I wasn't around for this. I wasn't even born yet. So this is, yeah, that's great to hear that, the nostalgia. And I guess just to give a little background and also to connect it to the Doing Democracy exhibition. Eisenhower, one of the things that he's well known for is signing the Civil Rights Act of 1957. And that basically, and he sent Army troops to Little Rock, Arkansas, when the first African-American girl was attending basically an all-white school. So they were trying to desegregate the school. And that little African-American girl, her name is Ruby Bridges. And she went through a lot. And I think for me, it's very interesting to see how things have turned out right now. So I am a Democrat. I voted Democrat this election, and I guess my initial thinkings or thoughts about the Republican Party is that they don't really care too much about Black issues or social justice issues. But during President Eisenhower's time, yes, he was the Republican Party nominee and, you know, eventually the president. And yet he made an effort to push for desegregation, and he made an effort to, you know, acknowledge the civil rights movement. So it's very interesting to me how times have changed, but also it tells me that there are still good people. There are people from all sides, regardless of what party you support. There are good people on all sides who do care about social justice issues and do care about the treatment of other peoples. So that's just a little background, but now also my 2 little cents.
Yeah, another background thing. Eisenhower started the interstate system.
Do you want to expand on that?
What do you want me to do? Expand on that?
Yeah. Just to explain for everyone who isn't familiar.
Well, he approved the start of the highway construction of the interstate system.
Yeah, and that did have a lot of impact. Both good and
yeah, that sure has.
Both good and bad, but I think now it is what it is, you know, and these are just the things that we have to live with, you know, as American society. Anyone else have any ideas or, I don't know, any inspiration from my little talk?
Well, one thing that you did make me think about, which pointing out that this was like he was part of the Republican Party, is I don't remember there being such a tainted image or such a negative, just negative feelings just kind of like associated and connected to the Republican Party so much as to like before Donald Trump's just presidency. Like, I think a lot of just what people are feeling, and especially individuals that aren't that politically aware and that kind of like motivated to find information on themselves, is just because of this man that, although he did do some productive things, he gave a very bad image and he has a mouth on him. Yeah, so that's something that you did kind of like make me think about it. Like, is it really the Republican Party that's actually like labeled as this just kind of like evil entity for some people, or is it just kind of like that image that he helped project onto it?
Right. Yeah. That's something that I had to think about too. Because I don't want to hate people. I don't want to live my life like that. And so I really had to search within myself, and do my own research as well. Like, no, this is not what the Republican Party is known for. They have really good values that I respect. Yeah, and it just took one person to sort of I guess taint that image. Yeah, as you said. Anyone else have any thoughts?
Just
sorry, I think you're cutting off.
I think you had a bad connection.
Okay. Okay, well, I don't know if it's, we didn't hear your question or what you had to say last, Peter, so okay, yeah, I'm gonna continue. So, well, we have to wrap up, but yeah, I just wanted the everyday American, it's different, there's go back to the first image, there's unity at times, there's friendship, and then there's these situations that we're put in where we're forced to work together, to be together, but as children, they don't really care about those things. And then we travel into the political atmosphere as well. There's unity in that too. And so this is what the everyday American looks like. Thank you.
Thank you, Matogba, for this wonderful discussion, and your selection of photographs really gave me a lot to think about. I think, I like how you went from the individual to the community and the greater kind of public, and how, each person is a part of that, as an individual, and their impact on the greater good. So thank you for helping lead us through these exercises and for leading our last live LUAG at lunch during the fall semester. We really appreciated the opportunity to hear student insights about works from the collection. We have a recording that will premiere shortly in just a few minutes on our website, and then 2 next week. So I hope that you'll check our website and participate in those recordings, as well as check in with us next semester. We have a lot of great programming coming up. So thank you so much to everyone who participated today, and thank you, Matogba, for leading a wonderful discussion. Have a great weekend.
No, thank you.